Hello, class. So we're going to do a quick review and preview of what we've been reading with Persepolis. Let's start by looking at the calendar. So if you notice on the weekend calendar, we should have ended up this weekend reading the Heroes and Moscow, and those are the chapters that we're going to be talking about first. And if you look at this week, you'll see that the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th will be reading about 2 chapters a day until Thursday when we just read one before we do our first class discussion that day. So let's start with a little bit of the review. When we last checked in with Margie, we learned that she wanted to be a prophet and that she had all these religious aspirations, but things got a little bit complicated. First of all, she started learning about the way the Shah was treating the people in Iran. And as you can see from the image here, it wasn't necessarily the nicest of ways. She also learned more of her family history. And she started realizing that she came from kind of a very prestigious family that traditionally was against the Shah. And finally, she learned about social classes, specifically through the incident in the chapter titled The Letter, where her maid, Merhi, was denied love because of the low social class standing she possessed. Now, the results of that were that she started finding a revolutionary spirit in her and even attended some protest, although her choice of which protest to attend wasn't exactly the wisest. We also learned about her trying to punish those who were on the side of the Shah after the revolution and how she had to learn from her mom to forgive. Now, through these experiences, she learned some new realizations. She learned that the heroes after the revolution are those who were punished by the Shah. And she was specifically really happy, and this is in the chapter titled Moscow, when she found out that she had an uncle, Anush, who had also been part of the rebellion. Okay, that now brings us to this week. On Monday, we're going to be reading The Sheep, an independent reading, and that talks about the change in the country and which people start being targeted by the new government. We also start looking at the way that life is going to be changing for people in Iran and how new rules regulate the way they dress. And finally, by the end of the trip on Monday, you'll start seeing the start of the Iran and Iraq war. On Tuesday, we're going to be reading 2 chapters. F14's an independent reading and The Jewels for Homework. F14's really starts talking about the impact of the Iraq-Iran war on people in Iran. And The Jewels starts talking about the complications that come from being a country at war and the lack of resources that exist because of the war. On Wednesday, we're going to be reading 2 chapters. The key. Pay attention to what the key symbolizes and who receives the key and the propaganda that is behind it. And also, we start seeing how Margie is forced to grow up much sooner than she would expect. And this is as a result, again, of the Iraq and Iran war and the complications going on in her country. On Thursday, we're going to end with Margie, who's now a teenager, starting to rebel against the institutions. And you really want to pay attention to who and what she's rebelling against and what the implications of that are. After that, we'll do our first class discussion, and you will be listening to one of these preview review lectures again next week. Have a good week.